Hi everyone, welcome to day 8 of the Baha'i Fast Live Meditation series. Super excited to have you here. If you've noticed, I did not post anything for day 6 and 7, mostly because I had a dream not to. Simple, really, that's about it. But this morning I woke up and I was like, this is Women's Day! Like, I can't not do a live meditation. So here I am, super excited to help my sisters out, and also the feminine aspect of the masculine. So really everyone is for everyone, essentially. So what I wanted to, I also was super curious to see what the qualities, virtues of God were of today, and I'm gonna share it with you. It's, wait for it, Kamál, perfection. Stop it, ladies. Stop it. And then the weekday virtue is Fidal, grace. Of course. Of course. So, I mean, that's a pretty cool one, guys. Like, ladies, this is great for us. But you know what? I also want to share the numerology. Like, Kamál, it's the 8th day, right? It's also the 8th month. In a Badi calendar, like Kamál would be the month of the 8th month of the year. And Kamál, so we have perfection, we have grace, and the numbers for Kamál are 8, and grace is 2. And 8, at least in Chinese symbology and stuff, it's like abundance and wealth and all these things. But usually in Western astrology or numerology, it's the representation of infinity, which actually in some circumstances, I guess in the Chinese system where it means money, it just means like abundance, eternity of money. So depending on what you associate with or what you feel more inclined to, you're welcome to land your brain on it. But Fidal, grace, that's the 2nd day of the week. And 2 usually represents union, like perfect union. And in this case, for me, it's like when it's Women's Day, like even, isn't this beautiful? Like on the outside world, like March 8th, randomly you would think, okay, this is the day that people have chosen, that it's going to be Women's Day. But actually, spiritually, there's also like a pretty cool explanation about this. Like if you celebrated women, then the equality, the 2 would unite and flap their wings together and soar high. Like, I mean, I don't know about you, like maybe I'm reading too much into this, but it's super, I find this super amazing. And actually, guys, I happened to find out what this year was in the Badi calendar, which is Abad. I did not look up the English word for this, what it is, but in one of the YouTube videos, somebody had generously left a comment in, I think it was week 3, day 3 of the Baha'i Fast Live Meditations, where I was asking everyone like to look up what their what spiritual quality was in their year, their month, their weekday, and the day that they were born, the weekday that they were born in, the month and the year, at least 4. And so they had calculated theirs, and they wrote it in the comments below as I was asking everyone that I would be obsessed with learning about what your spiritual virtues are, because I was saying that like this must be also like a part of the spiritual virtues that you're endowed with, essentially. So if you check on YouTube on the 3rd day Baha'i Fast Live Meditation link, somebody had left the thing, but if you also Google Badi Calendar Wikipedia, then it will show you the 19 days. So if you know that this year is Abad, you can back calculate to what year it was that you were in, and you basically just cycle through the 19 months, like backwards and forwards. Yeah. If anyone happens to know what year it was that we started counting, like number 1, was it the Bab's birth, or the Bab's Baha'u'llah's birth, or was it the declaration of the Bab or the declaration of Baha'u'llah? I'm not quite sure when it started. I have a feeling, I really don't know. Actually, I want to guesstimate something, but it's not going to go well. Anyways, who I wanted to thank was actually, who told me, it was on Instagram that I found out that this year was the year of Abad, and it was actually an old friend of mine who had created like a calendar, a Badi calendar, which it looks super cool and amazing. And I have actually two friends that both have made calendars. One is circular in shape, and the other is like vertical and kind of like slanted. And it was so interesting. So I will leave the links, if that's something that you're interested in, to actually go check them out. Because I was thinking like each of the Badi calendars have all the spiritual virtues of God all of the days and all of the months and all of the years. And it also, because it's based on the lunar calendar, it also has the moon cycle, which is super relevant to women. Women are all about the moon cycle. And so in yoga especially, you know, like the human body is like split into left and right. The left side of the body, this would probably be your right. I'll mirror you. This is the left side. So the left side of the body represents the feminine, and the right side of the body represents the masculine. So it's usually kind of like the balance of these two. It's what actually makes the human body work. Like the left side of the body is the one that calms, nourishes, like relaxes things down. As you can see that in the arteries where blood flows from the heart to the rest of the body, there is just a straight tube, right? Like literally blood just gushes to the rest in relaxation. That's like the feminine energy. And then, but for blood to go back up to the heart, it has these valves that you literally, it can only open when you squeeze your muscle. Women, all of that is super connected to each other. And yeah, with that, I wanted to start basically today's meditation. So we said that the day of today was Kamál, perfection. It's the 8th of the 19 days. And the weekday is Fidal, grace, second out of the 7-day week. And the month is Allah, of course, the 19th day of the 19th month. It's the last month of the Badi calendar. And we said what the definition of loftiness was, and it was impressiveness in scale or proportion. So that's cool. Oh, I don't know if I mentioned this, but basically another thing that I wanted to share was that in the Baha'i writings, Abdu'l-Baha mentions that women are superior to men in 4 qualities. It does not mean that men do not have to develop these qualities. It just means that they need to work a little bit harder. And they are receptiveness, intuition, forgiveness, and tenderheartedness. So these 4 things, women are naturally more gifted in, either because of the biology, spirit, this is a mystery. We don't really know. But that is something that, like, really, if we think about it, it's super awesome. Having intuition is super important when you're doing a meditation. Absolutely necessary. Receptiveness. So if you're receptive, like being like a receptacle, it's kind of like, you know, when God pours his grace on us, the only thing that we just need to go like, okay, I'm here. That's it. But if you go like, no, I'm good. I already got it. Then it's like you're not a receptacle. That's basically all I can say, is you're not the receptacle and you can't receive. You're blocking your reception to God's grace, essentially, which is grace. Grace is today's weekday. So when we think about the 4 feminine qualities, like today being Women's Day and the spiritual virtues of God also kind of coinciding in that area, it's really fascinating for us to see that, like, you know, something I wanted to mention here briefly, even though this is something that maybe many of us already know, the human soul has no gender. That is not, its primary identity is that we are a creation of God. Secondary identity to that is that we are women, men, of a certain religion, certain race, certain class, certain whatever. These are all secondary identities. It's like flowers of one garden. The more diversity we have, the more beautiful it is. These are according to the Baha'i spiritual principles. And so when we think about like, even though I shared that, Abdul Baha mentions the 4 spiritual qualities that women are superior to men in, it also means that, like, the masculine qualities in a woman also need to be developed, as well as the feminine qualities of these 4 need to be developed in a man. Because when we think about our primary identity as human souls, as creations of God, when you're in this plane of earth, you are here to collect gems, which are virtues of all kinds, so that your soul can grow. And when we go to the next world, in the Baha'i writings, it shares that we are not identified by our gender, our race, what we did, our professions, but by our spiritual qualities. So you're going to be recognizing other souls by their spiritual composition, the spiritual virtues that they gained in this life. So when you think about it, it's like we're really here to just collect all these spiritual gems and virtues, which every day for the past 19 days, for the next 19 days, we are literally focusing on a combination of a couple virtues each day. Not even just one, but several of them each day. And so that can really be really helpful in our ultimate spiritual path. So with that, let's sit in a comfortable seated posture and get ready for our meditation. So you want to sit with your hands on your knees, spine straight in one line, and close your eyes and begin focusing on your breath. And you want to shift your weight to your spine so that you feel the weight of your body is your head, your heart, your sit bones are all in one line. Focusing on your breath, on your inhales and on your exhales. We are going to cycle through the 5 layers of the body with these virtues. And these 5 layers of the body are the integrative yoga therapy framework in which I am trained in. So when we think about the spiritual quality of perfection manifesting in the physical, what would we see? And a couple sessions ago, I was mentioning that perfection, or our standards of beauty in general, usually we're thinking about physical appearances and stuff like that, and we think about seduction versus attraction. Like, what is the difference between seduction and attraction? And so I want you, in the framework of thinking about perfection, to veer away from seduction and go towards what perfection means in the realm of attraction. And it might even be like a difficult thing to even do, to make that distinction, because our minds and our eyes and our ears are not specifically trained to look at attraction rather than seduction. Now moving into the energy body, which extends 1.5 meters around the body. Perfection, what would perfection look like in the energy body? When we see like waves on a physics graph, or waves in an ocean, both the same, what would like a perfect set of waves look like? And what would the quality of that be? Would it be that they're coherent, they're moving at the same pace, there's repetition, there is a pattern? And then moving towards Oops. I just realized that today's actually Kamál too, the weekday. So we are double perfection, guys. Oopsies, sorry. I forgot to write Jamal for Saturday, which I didn't even do. But today's virtue. So I just made a whole bunch of stuff up. So the day for today is Kamál. We're doing that part right. But the weekday is Kamál too. So we're actually double perfection. So hey, that's even better, guys, right? But the numerology of the 2 and the union, that doesn't quite make sense in this situation. So it's the first day of the 7-day week. So our numbers are 1 and 8. Together, combining the 2, it equals 9. So, which is the highest single-digit spiritual number. But yeah, I thought that was really funny that I just realized that as we begin to meditate. So, sorry guys, sorry to mess up your Zen, but let's start over. Let's start back at the energy layer. We didn't get the perfection wrong. But let's think about double times the perfection. Okay. So closing our eyes. Letting go of that little mistake that we made. Focusing on our breath. Okay. So now we just did the physical body and the energy body in terms of thinking about perfection in both those areas. And then moving into, let's split the 3rd layer into 2 separate layers. So the mental body, let's think about perfection and what perfection would look like. What would perfection look like within the mind? And moving to the emotional layer of the body. What would perfection look like in emotions? In yoga, the state of enlightenment is described as feeling all the emotions at once. All the positive ones, the good feelings, and the negative ones at the same time. So there's union. That union is still there of the light and darkness, or the good and bad qualities. But when it comes to emotions, each emotion actually has its own function. Even Abdul-Wahab mentions the baby. Many people think that when the baby is crying, that it's actually like a sign that a child's soul is like evil. But he says that the desire or the tantrum that the child is displaying is actually the desire to learn, the desire to grow, the desire to the ambition to grow. And that type of ambition is praiseworthy. And he even gave the example of violence, that in circumstances where there's an injustice, violence is really is okay. an extreme compassion practice in that circumstances is no longer considered a virtue. So it's really conditional upon when you practice the virtue, in what circumstances. And so emotions that we feel, like what perfection would mean in the display of emotions, it would be the appropriateness of the emotion displayed in that right time, in that right circumstances, in that right moment. This is why in yoga it talks a lot about being in the present moment, is that if you're not present, you're going to think that at all times you need to exercise kindness, or at all times you need to exercise compassion because that's the right thing to do. No, there are some circumstances in which it is not. So this is actually a wonderful theme to connect to our Women's Day theme today, because I think women may tend more so than men, will be expected to and also practice more of spiritual virtues when it is incorrect, because it is either projected onto them that they need to be kind and they need to take it, or they need to kind of overcome whatever is being displayed around them, even if it's negative. Whereas really what perfection means in emotions is what I would say Abdul Baha, our perfect exemplar, the way he describes it as practicing each virtue and even each negative quality that we perceive has a place and a purpose and a time to be exercised. And perfection to me would look like, of emotions, would be to display the correct emotions at the correct time. So moving on to the witness body. So if perfection were outside of you, what would you notice? What are the qualities that would come up for you? What would you see? What would you recognize? What would you witness? What would you become aware of? And if we were to go into the workspace, in our work, in our life, what would perfection look like? What would perfection look like in your purpose? If your purpose on this planet was to serve a particular group of population, and you were to neglect others, would that show perfection of purpose? Or would you think that purpose means to help everyone at the same time, at all times, regardless of whatever situation it's in? Perfection is about reaching its own fullest potential according to the degree that the thing is within that capacity. Whatever that fullest capacity is the state of perfection. So for example, a tree, its state of perfection would be for it to bear fruit. that's where it's reached its highest limit, and it will be able to nourish other people in this way, in its own highest state of perfection. Okay, when we're ready, we can just open up our eyes and adjust to the light. I have been moved to share with you guys that I did want to let you guys know that if I do not continue the Baha'i Fast live meditation series, that there is a very large library of free meditations available on the Yoga Avec Moi YouTube channel, and actually on Spotify and on Apple iTunes by searching Bicentenary Meditation Project. We have over like 22 languages that are in there in terms of the meditations, and we're trying to get them all finished by Naw Ruz this year, which is in a couple days. I think there's about 85 meditations published on the blog, and I still have yet to match that on the YouTube channel. So there's several people who have been asking about Spanish meditations, and we do have them. That's another reason why I can't do the Baha'i Fast live meditations if it takes away time from that, because that is deadline specific, even though these Baha'i Fast live meditations are wonderful to do. So yeah, I wanted to share also that I've created a Pure Breath program, which is basically a program that is specifically made for healthcare workers and physicians during the COVID outbreak. So I don't know if many of you know about my background, but I studied in control of infectious diseases, and I'm now practicing mostly as an integrative yoga therapist. But during this outbreak, I've been moved to create a 12-week Pure Breath program that really focuses on the breath, so that physicians would be able to do a breath practice underneath their personal protective equipment, so that if they were on duty during work and like fear and anxiety comes up naturally from what is happening with the pandemic, that they would have these tools available for them. So that is also like a resource that Yoga Avec Moi is providing. This is part of the services of Yoga Avec Moi. The Bicentenary Meditation Project is free. It's part of our Karma Yoga project, but the Pure Breath program is basically how I make my living. So if there's anyone who actually would benefit from something like this, or they know of any physicians who could really use some sort of mental and emotional boost, I use very scientific language to describe it. So it's quite dense. It's very dense. 12-week program. It's I would say it's a master's level course. So if anyone is also interested in that, you don't have to be a healthcare profession, but this was the thing that I think I got cut out again. But yeah, if anyone was interested in the Pure Breath program, please do contact me and let me know. I still have 2 more lectures that I'm filming live, and it would be great to support any of you who are healthcare workers or nurturers of any kind, like parents. It's mostly I've created for people who are taking care of others and responsible for their lives. So yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. I am also giving out 1 month free membership to the Pure Breath program, to Yoga Avec Moi's membership. If you are a healthcare professional and you wanted to try and test out the Pure Breath program first, if you conduct like a 1.5 hour interview with me. Basically, you get one month free off and to access the Pure Breath program. So let me know if that's something that you're interested in. I would love to be able to serve you during this pandemic time in your work and your places. Like, this is something that I used to do in my public health work to really help, basically help the mental health of people during an outbreak. As when I was working in an outbreak, it was severely tested. So yeah, if I can, now that I'm trained in integrative yoga therapy and that I have more tools to be able to share with people, this is really something that I'm super proud of, and I would love to be able to assist you with it. If you found these Baha'i Fast live meditations helpful, the Pure Breath program is very much aligned. It's very much focused solely on the breath. So if these guided imageries and things don't work for you and you would like to try something else, but you like the feeling of relaxation and calm, then maybe try out the Pure Breath program. Anyways, that is, I think that's that. Oh, I wanted to also share for the Bicentenary Meditation Project, please keep us in your prayers.